All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Money Matters. Madhura here. I hope everything goes smoothly today, even though our opening credit was just a bit of hiccups here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Money Matters. And yes, it's Sunday, 3 p.m. I know it has been a while since we had Money Matters because we have been organizing a really epic conference a couple of weeks ago, which was the Global Young Changemakers Conference and Competition. So if you guys tuned in for that, thank you so much for being there. I hope you guys took part in the competition as well. And of course, the finale will be happening next week on the 8th of October. So today's topic on Money Matters is something that I'm actually um, I was very interested to talk about, hence why it has become a topic. But that is how any Money Matters topic comes about. And so I had the opportunity to meet our guest speaker for a cup of coffee, and we were just talking about everything. And one of the things I asked is, actually, what do you do now? And he went on to share about his job and what are the things that he works on. And the things that he shared with me was so mind blowing. So if some of you who are part of the teenageentrepreneur.com platform, you guys would actually be taking part in activities such as the solving world problem segment. And we have been talking a lot about making those changes that will help us to solve world problems and taking those small steps. And one of the things that I personally thought about a lot is actually electric vehicles, like changing cars to electric vehicles. And how do you go about it? It was something very confusing, something very scary for me. And I will always think about it, and then I'll just move on after a few minutes because I don't know what is the steps to be taken, whether it's something I should be doing now or not. And because it got too overwhelming, I just moved on. But I also feel like that part of my life, which is the vehicle that I drive, is something that I needed to change. So when I met Sanjit and we were having a conversation about electric vehicles and all of that, I was like, wow, okay, this is giving me so much of insight and information on how I can make my decisions. Don't worry, I'm not yet changing my car, guys. I'm not yet at that level where I'm able to make a change, but I think it's something very important that most of us should be aware about. So our guest speaker today, did I reveal his name already? I think I did. He's actually leading this whole division with regards to electric vehicle in one of Malaysian's GLCs, government linked companies. And he knows a lot about this. He has been researching a lot about this and understanding a lot about this. So he's the best person to have on the show to talk about it. So without further ado, let me welcome our guest speaker on screen, Sanjit Singh.
Hello, Madhura. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Sanjit. Good
Hi,
afternoon to
Madhura.
you.
Good afternoon to you.
Why do the both of us look very? Oh my God, we are
S-
matching.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing this. Oh, yeah, wearing the same T-shirt. And pretty much our hair
Yeah,
is black as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's perfect. Perfect. Thank
Perfect.
you so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
for agreeing to come on the show and taking some of your time off despite your busy schedule. Really, really means a lot to me.
Thank you. Thank you to you, too, Madhura. Yeah.
I
Thanks for the
mean,
opportunity. Yeah.
you lead a whole team on electric vehicles and all of that. I'm just curious, when in your own life did you start to like talk about or think about electric vehicles?
Okay. Thank you, Madhura, first and foremost, for giving people like me that opportunity to come and talk. I love to talk, and you can give me any time of the day to talk, and I will actually talk. So over to your question. Yeah. By the way, when you say leading an entire team, it sounds like there are a couple of thousand people under me, but actually no, it's a very, 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 very small team. And to be true, my team is only about five people right now. We're all in charge of different portfolios in
Yep.
terms of electric vehicles. So what your question was basically when I started, having interest in this. Well, from a very young age, I used to like cars. I used to admire cars more than anything else. Like, I would say, like, whenever I see a super cool car or I see an interesting car, I want to know more about the car. I want to sit in the car, if possible, drive the car. Lah. That, of course,
Yeah.
came later on in my life. But I think when it comes specifically to for electric vehicle, it was sometime in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2013, 2014 when Malaysia there was this company called Soka. The company is still
Yeah.
available. It's a car sharing platform. They actually brought in a fleet of electric vehicles. Then
Mm.
it was something which was very out of the world. Even then, Tesla was still not known yet, like 2013. It was still, they became very popular 2014, 2015. So this was before the entire Tesla, what they call this hype was there. So this
Yep.
this company called Soka brought in a fleet of electric vehicles, and that is when I actually first heard about electric vehicles. And I happened to work in okay, I can be very open here. I can say I'm working in Tenaga National. Okay, so me naturally being in the electric utility company, I mean I naturally have that interest of electricity, and then now cars. It was like this perfect, perfect
Match.
combination of match. So
Yep.
that's when I got very excited, and I actually attended the Soka launch, and I saw them launching their new vehicles. They had these Renault Zoe, very small cars, very cute cars, but they were surprisingly interesting because they could travel at least 100 kilometers on a full charge. So that
Oh.
was the year, and then I remember having various conversations with different people in the organization in Tenaga, and I had the honor to speak to the CEO then, and I told him, I said, why not we start off this electric vehicle movement since we are in the electric organization. And then at that point in time, he told me, he said, hold your horses first. It's too early. It's too soon. It's a very expensive game to be in. Okay, we need to plot our strategy, our position really well before we can even venture into all these things. So that was fair because at that point in time, if you talk to somebody about buying electric vehicle, definitely will think you're a psycho. There's no way you're gonna have because there's no infrastructure. 100 kilometers, you probably will go to somewhere and get stranded, and then to call the Tade Creta first to come and pull your car and all these things. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was a little bit ahead of its time in that context. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much
Amazing.
2014 was the year, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point, the only thing I remember with regards to electric vehicles is the small cars.
Correct. Yeah. Small
That was the
electric
only
cars.
thing in my head that I knew it was electric vehicle until I was because of this I was googling, and then I found
Okay.
out like the first electric cars have been around since cars were around, and it goes back to 1800s, and I'm like, what? My life is a lie. I thought it's
Okay.
something
Cool.
cool and new and all that, but it has been around forever. um why do you think it's, I mean, even like right now, actually there's so many electric cars that has come out,
Yeah.
even hybrid vehicles, even and they are getting better and better, but why do you think it's hard for most people to actually go and make that change?
That change. Yeah, I mean, to start off with, what do you call this, Madhura? You're right. Actually, electric vehicles have been around for the longest time, lah. In the
Yep.
18th centuries, lah, I would say, lah. Electric
Yep.
vehicles were already existing. It's 1897 around that. This was the
Yep.
same year the internal combustion engines were also developed. So it was simultaneously developed, but because of the resources, the abundant available, the abundance of oil. So the agenda of pushing these internal combustion vehicles became the global political agenda lah, because that
Yep.
could bring in revenue. Okay,
Yep.
so and then as the years passed on, right, electric vehicles didn't just go nowhere. They actually were used in many industries, but on a small scale. Okay, they were used in many industries in the small scale. I mean, we were speaking about it, like for example, the golf buggy, or even in this airport. When you go into the airport, right, you will
Oh
suddenly
yeah.
see these cool people sitting on the vehicle, and you just wish you were in that vehicle as well. You don't have
Yeah.
to walk so much.
True.
All those small vehicles, right, which are used within certain small areas or certain venues, they are all actually powered by electricity,
Yep.
batteries basically lah. Okay, so yeah, that's another key thing when we speak about electric vehicles, right? We are talking about vehicles which are powered by batteries, right? That means
Yep.
we are removing the element of fuel in terms of petrol or diesel and replacing that with batteries. So it has been around for many years, and I think the most decent car which was invented, it was actually, or rather, which was produced, was by BMW in the 1990. They came out with an electric vehicle called the E1, which was actually a decent looking car. Of course, the range was really bad then, lah, but it was a decent looking vehicle which was
Yeah.
pretty similar to the internal combustion cars. Okay, so along my talk, you will always see me refer to two things. One called electric vehicle, which I will use the short for EV, and then one more
Okay.
called the internal combustion engines, which in short we call it the ICE. So we will
Okay.
say use the word ICE versus
Remember,
EV lah.
guys.
Boleh
Okay.
ah, boleh ah. Because
Boleh, boleh,
otherwise I'll
boleh.
get too excited and I'll forget to explain this. So back to
Got
your
it.
question again, back to your question, Madhura, which is what is actually very challenging for people. Why is it so challenging for people to actually make that switch? Okay, to be very honest, it's actually two key things, two very key things. Number one, is the price of the car itself. Okay,
Yeah.
right now to buy an EV is actually considered premium or luxury, because
Yep.
that's not the reality of it. It's simply because I'm talking about in Malaysia, because the models which are brought into Malaysia are the expensive models. The car manufacturers are still testing the market. Now, in Malaysia, our market for vehicles, that means in a year to year basis, we sell about 500 to 600,000 vehicles per year. It's a very small market. Even though that looks like, wow, that's a lot, right? But actually,
Yeah, but
compared to other
compared to the
countries like,
world.
yeah, compared to the world, right? We are, even compared to our neighbor Thailand, is like nothing. They go in numbers of millions per year. Okay, so when manufacturers want to manufacture vehicles and bring to our country, they are pretty cautious because they are not sure whether it will sell well or not. Okay, so therefore, only those premium models they can actually try, test the power, like test power kind of thing. They throw in a few models to see what's the take up.
Yep.
Surprisingly, in Malaysia right now, like I say, yeah lah, only those people who have extra money, okay, who want to have fun toys, okay, electric vehicles, then they can actually afford to buy. All the expensive brands are bringing in, like, in the name of Mercedes, BMW, Volvo. We also have
Yep.
Porsche, and then there are few some decent cars which are still expensive, but they are more affordable, which are the Hyundai, the Aura Good Cats, the Nissan Leaf, there's Renault Zombis and all these things. So there are a few models, but again, the acquiring price at this point in time is still about 150,000 ringgit and above. And if you look
Yep.
at that range, right, 150,000 ringgit, then you are talking of people who are maybe of M40 and above. You have the
Yeah.
B40, M40, I, I think T20,
T20.
yeah, T20.
Yep.
So M40, there's two brackets, the higher ones and the ones which are below that point. So the higher that higher number of people can afford that 150,000 ringgit car. But again, then you come back to the math of, really, do I really want to spend 150,000 ringgit on buying a car which the infrastructure is still a question mark, and that is where the second challenge is, lah. Okay, people are looking around and say,
Yes.
I only see petrol stations. I don't see chargers yet. How to buy
Yep.
a car if no charger? Then, like me, I stay in an apartment, right? Where am I going to put the charger? I have spoken to
Yep.
my building management, and they are like, whenever I come and speak to them, they don't want to talk to me about it because it's still something very expensive for them to do, right? So yeah, so two things lah, mainly lah. Okay, there are many other challenges.
Yep.
But again, these are two things. Number one, the price to acquire the car, and number two, the infrastructure. Of course, without saying is the awareness of people. People
Yeah.
still don't care. People still don't care. A lot of people. It's not their fault. By the way, it's not their fault. Because vehicles are still such a necessity, and you want convenience,
Yes.
and you switching into electric car will certainly require some kind of difference lah, in terms of your lifestyle as well. So that is the third biggest thing, which I would say is also the awareness lah, the underlying
Yes.
reason why people are not switching it. Yeah.
I mean,
I hope
in
I'm
a
not talking
in a,
too
in
much. Zura.
a you're good. Don't worry about that. I
Thanks,
mean,
thanks.
in like Malaysia, right? We are a country that exports petroleum
Exactly.
and all of that. So it's our
Yeah.
rice bowl in a way as well for our country to
Exactly.
have this
Exactly.
kind of vehicles.
Yeah.
So if we were to change to, I don't know, electric vehicles and all of that, and the world does make that change, how do you think our the country as a whole is going to be impacted?
Certainly. I mean, you're right. Our country does depend on oil a lot, and that's why oil is really cheap, lah. I mean, I would say it's very affordable. If you go to our country, it's in Singapore, you compare the petrol price is like, it's double. If you go to
Yep.
Thailand, even they are actually three times the price of what we are paying for our RON 95. So in
Yep.
Malaysia, it doesn't make business, or rather for a normal Joe lah, like me lah, for example, it doesn't make sense to go and switch to electric car yet, because petrol is still affordable. Petrol is still
Yes.
affordable. But just let me throw you a tip here. I mean, to tell you that even though you switch to electric car at this point in time, you're going to even save even more money. Probably we'll talk about that later, lah. Even though petrol is already cheap, but you switching to electric vehicle, you're going to save even more, right? And there's this
Interesting.
and there's this stigma, or there's this saying, you can drive a Porsche,
Uh
but
huh.
pay the fuel of a Myvi.
Oh.
You can drive a Porsche, but you can pay the fuel of a Myvi when it comes to electric vehicle. That's how the pricing of electricity tariffs are in Malaysia. Okay, and it's something to talk about. Yeah. So back to your
Ah,
question, how how will it impact Malaysia if we all switch
yes.
to electric vehicles? Certainly, it will impact. Okay, I think the first company which a lot of people will come to think about electric is the company which starts with P lah,
Yeah.
and ends with NAS lah. Okay, all right. The logo is white and green. So basically, to be very honest to you, I think until 2050, 2060, right, we will still be highly dependent on oil, be it diesel, be it petrol. But how we're going to use it, how we utilize this oil, that's going to
Yep.
make the difference. Okay, so I think in terms of impacting the countries and stuff like that, we will. It's a gradual process, lah. It's not going to be an overnight process. So it's not going to the country will stop using oil immediately and go. No, it will certainly impact the economy, but I think it's
Yep.
about gradually shifting towards cleaner energies, cleaner form of energies. Okay, even though we talk about going coal free or talk about net zero sustainability and stuff like that, that doesn't mean we stop using oil. That doesn't mean we
Yep.
stop using oil. Okay, it simply means that how we extract oil and or rather how we produce oil, okay, must be in a very sustainable manner. Either use carbon capture to manage the pollution which happens, or use more effective and more green methods of extracting oil, etc. So again, I think it's a gradual process. It's not going to just
Yep.
shift overnight. Yes, definitely there will be an impact, but I think the impact will be balanced off with new energy lah, in that context. When we talk
Yeah.
about new energy, that means if we were to let go of oil, we will probably be more reliant on fuels like hydrogen and stuff like that. So that's how a lot of the economy will be also balanced on that. Yeah.
I mean, okay. I'm not. I have pretty much no knowledge on cars. I'm quite horrible in this topic. But
Okay.
hybrid vehicles, is that something that actually like
I,
helps, like, or is it just a marketing technique?
Okay, let's put it this way, lah. Let's start off with the fundamental types of electric vehicles, and there are three actually. To be
Yeah.
honestly, there's I mean to put the base here, there are three types of electric vehicles. Number one, we term it as the hybrid electric vehicles. We call it
Okay.
HEVs. Okay, HEVs. If you in the Malaysian context, right? If you notice, last time you had this small Toyota. I forgot the name right now. They were very small. Cypress, not Cypress cab. I can't remember that.
Prius.
Prius, correct. Thanks for the name. Toyota
Yeah.
Prius is a very good example of a hybrid, electric hybrid, in which you don't have to charge the car, but the
Yep.
internal mechanism allows for the battery. There's a small, very small battery inside, which will allow the battery to be charged, and then you can utilize the battery for a certain amount of distance. But mainly, the car is still fueled by gasoline, like by petrol or
Yep.
by most petrol. And then came the newer versions, which is called the PHEVs, which you just mentioned, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Now, these
Okay.
vehicles are also similar to the HEV, but this PHEV, which is the plug-in hybrids, you can actually literally plug in the car into electricity source and charge your car battery. So your car has a bigger size battery right now. Okay, and I mean I'm talking about PHEV, and you still rely on gasoline. So that means or rather fuel or petrol in this context. So for certain amount of range, you can travel using the battery, and then after that, the car will know when to stop using the battery. When the
Mm.
battery is fully depleted, it will know when to stop using the battery and switch to gas, or rather switch to fuel petrol in this context. So that's a very good transition car. It's a very good
Yeah.
transition car, and honestly, what's really important, why we want to move into all these vehicles, is because we want to reduce the carbon emission. Your
Yep.
vehicle, when your fuel is when combustion of your fuel happens in your vehicle, carbon is actually emitted into the atmosphere. So we want to
Yes.
reduce that, and plug-in hybrids do reduce the carbon emission, right? So that's the second type of electric vehicle. And then comes the third type of electric vehicle, which is called the battery electric vehicle, which is fully run on battery, without anymore having no longer needing any more gas
Yep.
or fuel, and there's no more engines inside. It's just electric motors. So these are basically the three types: hybrid electric vehicle, the plug-in hybrid vehicles, and then the battery electric vehicles. So
Okay.
yeah, so actually for transitioning purpose, actually that's the very reason for having PHEVs. And if you still look at it at this point in time, there are still new PHEV models coming in. Like if I
Yep.
notice the Volvo and stuff like that, they're introducing more PHEVs, but this time their range is getting better. Last time initially maybe their range of the batteries can run was maybe 40 kilometers, but right now it can take you to a decent 100 kilometers. So if you buy a PHEV, and if let's say you are concerned about traveling far, or rather you're concerned about switching into a battery electric vehicle and traveling far, you're very worried that your car will, suddenly you will go out of charge and you have no place to charge. Actually, buying a PHEV it makes a lot of sense. You know why?
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, for let's say you buy a PHEV, which gives you the battery range of 100 kilometers. Okay, so you can literally, for your daily use, you can go to work and come back, and use it's sufficient for you to use the car battery. When you want to go outstation, then of course you use the fuel lah. The car will
Mm.
know when to switch to fuel. So for your daily consumption, okay, basically when we do research, right, in Malaysia, right, Malaysians actually only travel roughly about 40 to 50 kilometers a day,
Yeah.
on an average. Okay, so if you get a PHEV like that and you charge your car at home, right, wow, it's going to save you a lot of money, because every day you go to work and come back, you don't have to use petrol at all.
Yep.
But of course, PHEVs, the way they work is different. The minute you come the car, the flow will switch lah from battery to petrol. It knows how to do all that, and there's
The
a lot of
acceleration
uh,
and all that.
yeah, correct. There's a lot of intelligence behind it, but it makes a
Yep.
lot of sense. Um, what you call this? Well, Harsha is asking a very tough question here, Harsha. All right. It's all about you managing yourself. And yes, PHEV it's something which is very much impactful. Okay, but of course, the future is all about battery electric vehicles, right?
Okay.
Harsha's
The
question is,
eventual goal is all the battery
yeah,
ones, but to
correct.
transition, the PHEV is a good option. But is it the easiest to switch and the more
Uh,
affordable?
Honestly, yes, PHEVs is the easier one to switch, and it is the more affordable one at this point in time. You know why? Because simply because PHEVs charging mechanism, the way you charge the car, is very
Yep.
simplified. You can charge it at home using your 3 pinpoint plug. Okay,
Hmm.
and then you don't have to worry if you run out of charge. You can always go to any petrol station, fuel up your car, and jalan with petrol.
And go.
And
Yep.
also, PHEVs are priced, I would say, in a more economical range right now, lah. Okay,
Okay.
because the mass production is there and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yep.
we can talk about price wise battery electric vehicles more expensive, probably in the later part. When we talk about the monetary
I mean,
and stuff.
I'm gonna dive into that part, which is
Okay.
why is it a good choice to make to actually change, and is it actually gonna save me money? Because the way it sounds, it doesn't sound like it's gonna save me money, but you mentioned that it does. So
Yes, actually, what do you call this? Badula, to tell you the truth, lah. Okay, I personally did a study, lah. I personally did a study when I first embarked on this role, on this particular job of electric vehicle. I actually did a what we term as the total cost of ownership, like TCO. Okay,
okay,
total cost of ownership of electric vehicles in comparison to these electric ICE vehicles, that means the internal combustion vehicles. Okay, and
okay,
we did an apple to apple comparison, lah, because I know people were a lot of times people are going to ask me, you cannot compare a different model with a different car with a different model. So what I did was I took at least four different types of cars. Okay,
okay,
I took the four brands which are available, like the Hyundai, the Volvo, the BMW, and the Mercedes. Okay, and surprisingly, for the more expensive models, like BMW and Mercedes, right, it's actually lower. Honestly, it's lower. The
hmm,
I mean, of course, at that point in right now, uh, there's a lot of incentives. The government is giving a lot of tax exemptions now on electric vehicles.
yeah,
Okay, that is how in many parts of the world governments are doing as well to promote electric vehicles, because otherwise electric vehicles are going to be still expensive, like I mentioned, because of the batteries they're using right now. Okay, the
yep,
battery prices are still expensive, but once it reaches to a lower price, then it's going to definitely kill the internal combustion vehicles. Okay, in terms of price. Okay, so like I mentioned, even if you talk about the Hyundai Kona, right? It's about uh, even if it's higher, okay, my son is here to join us, I guess. Even if it's higher, it's only about 5% higher. Okay,
okay,
so of course, it's expensive right now to acquire the car. The starting price of the car is expensive, but you will save a lot on maintenance. You will save a lot on what you call this, your fuel cost as well. Okay, to give you a perspective, you may buy a $200,000 electric vehicle, and you may buy $150,000 electric. Sorry, you may buy an electric vehicle for 200,000, and you may buy
Yep.
a internal combustion car for 150,000. Of
Yep.
course, 150,000 looks cheaper, right, compared to 200,000. But when
Yes.
you take that price point over 8 years or 10 years, you will be surprised. You'll be actually saving more in terms of money on the electric vehicle compared to the internal combustion vehicle.
So the
So
the day-to-day expenses that
yes,
we're going to be
the day-to-day
incurring is
expenses.
actually gonna be much lower compared
Correct,
to
correct.
the initial investment.
So
Okay. Okay.
if you talk about two aspects, Madhura, one is the fuel price. If we just talk about fuel price, now most of us use RON 95 in Malaysia, the yellow color one.
Yes.
Okay. If we use RON 95 and we compare it to electricity, you are looking at least an 11% saving already. These are people who just go to market and come back. We're looking at
Yeah.
11% saving. Now, if you look at people like you and me, probably who travel a little bit more than going to market and coming back, we're looking at
Yep.
least a 30% saving.
Wow.
Okay, that's I'm talking about 30% saving in terms of your fuel. And if you're talking about RON 97, what the other color, which is green color, I think if I'm not mistaken, or red color,
Yeah.
it's about 50%. 50% cheaper.
50%.
Yes, 50% cheaper. And mind you, the price of RON 97 fluctuates. That means it keeps increasing. We are lucky
Yep.
lah in Malaysia. RON 95 is, government is paying a lot. We should be grateful to the government. Government is paying a lot for RON 95 just to keep it at 2 ringgit 5 cents. Otherwise, we'll be
Yep.
all paying like 3 each ringgit. I think the government is compensating quite a bit of money in that context. So terima kasih kerajaan Malaysia. You can do better now. Okay, but anyway, in terms of RON 97, the savings is actually 50%. So that's one.
Wow.
Secondly, is the maintenance cost. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, okay, Madhura, maybe I can ask you this question. How much do you normally pay for your car maintenance? Now, don't tell me I don't maintain my car. Okay.
No, I'm diligent.
How
I'm
much roughly
diligent.
you pay? And how frequent do you pay that amount?
Mine comes around 3 months once.
Okay.
3 months, 6 months. Oh yeah, but I tend to drive more, so it comes earlier.
Mhm.
4 months like that, and
Mm.
easily about 500 ringgit. Some
Okay.
aircon service months, it's almost $1,000.
Yeah, okay. So let's say we talk about the regular service, like aircon service, electric cars are still got aircon, lah, okay? So
Yeah.
the aircon part is still the same, the tires part is still the same. But when you talk about your engine maintenance and stuff, like you mentioned about 500 ringgit, say 6 months. So a
Yep.
thousand ringgit a year, right?
Yep.
Okay, a year. Now, to maintain an electric car, you only go in to maintain your electric car at 30,000 kilometers or 1 year once. And the fee, which some people have come back and told us, is only about 200 ringgit. That's it.
Oh
200
wow.
ringgit. There's nothing to check in an electric vehicle because everything is wired. It's all electrical components. So how they actually check is they just put in a small computer and then they press buttons and the computer will go and try to troubleshoot to see any trouble. If there's no problems, that's about it. Of course, there's wear and tear of tires and all. That's the same. But in terms of your maintenance cost, we have. I mean,
Yep.
like I told you, I mentioned I did the study there. I think we're saving about at least 50% again.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
in your case, it was 1,000 ringgit. If you switch to electric car, you're probably going to pay about 200 ringgit a year. So you already save 800 ringgit. So you can go and invest
Yeah.
the 800 ringgit in something else. Yeah, you can do something else with 800 ringgit.
Go for concerts. Since that seems to be the trend
Yeah,
now.
for instance, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
whatever.
I just
That's,
did not expect halving the half, like 50% means it's almost half the cost.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
that's amazing. So monetary wise, it is a very good
It
option.
makes
Of
sense.
course,
Yeah.
at this point, for those of you, I mean, those of us who are like, like especially the young adults who may not have the buying power to be going into the higher tiers of cars at this point in time,
Right.
maybe it's not an option for us. But for those who are in that area, it's definitely something to be considered because you are going to save more money uh,
Absolutely.
going into electric vehicles and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I have another again dumb question, but I think
No question
like
is done. Another question
batteries,
is
right?
good. Hmm.
Batteries and all of that. Is that is that actually helping the environment? Like going, I mean, comparatively, yeah, to fuel and all of that, probably it is much better. But
Okay.
does it still cause any damages, or potential harms in 50 years from now. They'll be like, electric vehicles is a bad idea, guys. What did you do? Do you think that's possible?
To be honest, in future in future a lot of things can happen lah. Okay, in future a
Yep.
lot of things can happen. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of concern about in the manufacture the point of manufacturing a electric vehicle battery and all the way to it's actually being disposed. Okay,
Yep.
definitely there is this issue, and not only that, there's also this issue about there's certain part of the battery which is we use lithium phosphate batteries, okay, right now,
Yep.
Tesla and all these things use. And there's a component which uses cobalt, and the way cobalt is actually mined, apparently there's a lot of child labor and stuff like that. Okay, just give me 1 second, Madhura.
No
How do I
worries.
mute myself for a while?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I can help you mute. Okay. So, for those of you guys, do let us know if you have
Sorry.
any questions in the comments, and we'll take them. We have Hasha going 3-plug pin. Yes, you can charge it with the 3-plug pins available at your homes. Some of these vehicles that I'm aware of.
Sorry, I had to do some negotiation. Okay, all right. I lost
Completely
the negotiation.
understandable.
Yeah, okay. Where were we? Sorry, I was talking about something.
Batteries.
Cobalt. I was talking about cobalt. How cobalt is
Yes.
mined, and in certain countries, in the African countries, apparently child labor is used and all. So there's a lot of talk going about that as well in terms of
Yep.
okay, but put that aside because I think that's only certain country specific lah. Okay, but talking about how it's manufactured and how it's used and how it's then disposed. Okay, right now it's still very preliminary lah. There are a lot of
Yep.
people who have this biasness saying that to produce lithium iron phosphate batteries consume more carbon than the normal petrol and stuff like that. The answer is no. Okay, because
Yep.
there are many studies which I can show you later on. If you're willing to read, done in the European countries to say that that's actually a false claim in terms of how it's actually produced, that it emits more carbon emission and stuff like that. No, that's not true. Okay, because I think that's a lot of parties who will try to bring down this
That's true.
aspect of because they want to continue their agenda in terms of the internal combustion engines. And let's say a lot of people are also concerned now talking about batteries. A lot of people are also concerned. They say, hey, you say you save money. What happens if my battery one time rosa and I have to change the battery and it's like so expensive to change the battery?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
what Hasha is asking as well. Is
correct.
it
Okay, so to
gonna
to
cost more?
to to be very truthful to you, right? The first vehicles which have been on the road, first electric vehicles which have been on the road, or the popular ones which have been on the road, is called Nissan Leaf. Okay,
Okay.
and that's coming to year number 6, year number 7 right now. Okay, that means from the first generation to now, it's about 6, 7, 8 years right now. Okay, and what do you call this? Those batteries certainly they have degraded. That means they have
Yeah.
the lives, the amount of range it can give you has become less, but they're
Yep.
still usable. They're still usable. Okay,
Okay.
that's one. To tell you the truth, a lot of manufacturers who produce their batteries talk about 8 years and above. Okay, that means your batteries can last you 8 years and above. And if you buy a new vehicle today, they will give you a warranty for that amount of years as well, at least 8 years.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what's going to happen after 8 years? That's when they talk about battery as a second life. Okay, most likely what will happen is your car batteries can be removed, and you can store your car batteries at home, just like battery storage you do on your mobile phone. Okay, of course, in Malaysia, it's something like how are you talking, Saranjit? But in certain countries, they're already experimenting this. And in countries like China, in US, they're already experimenting this. That means second life, you take up your car batteries. That means you go back to your car company, you trade in your batteries, for a new set of batteries or whatever you want, how you want to call that. So your old batteries will be removed from your car, but still utilized. Okay,
Yep. In a
and then
smaller
and then
capacity.
in a more less critical what do you call this less critical need lah in that context
Yep.
use. Okay, and then when the battery comes to a 15-year what do you call this lifespan, then we need to recycle batteries. Right now recycling batteries is expensive, some even say dangerous. Okay, but I'm very sure in time to come the very fundamentals of how car batteries are manufactured, the materials which go in will also change. because
Yep.
all this is being experimented day by day. You know,
Yep.
today we talk about one company like Tesla making lithium ion batteries very popular, but we don't know in future other countries, somebody from Ascendance is going to come out with some kind of a newer battery which uses a very much more biodegradable material which causes less impact. We never know, but the
Yep.
possibility is there.
Yep.
So to start off with, to remove that to demystify or to remove that mystery of uh, these batteries are dangerous, and they can cause more pollution than other batteries is wrong lah. They are certainly dangerous. Of course, any kind of battery
Everything
you
can
put
be
into,
dangerous.
you put it into fire. Of course, it's going to burn lah. Yeah, but nevertheless, it's safe lah. I would say lah. We have heard cars exploding and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's pretty safe. Yeah.
Yep. Very nice, very nice. I think for those of you watching, as much as we want to create awareness today with like
Yeah.
the cost part of it in money matters, I think I was very interested to talk about the cost part of it and all of that. But it is definitely the step to be taking, because the more
Yep.
we encourage these steps, then only the other ideas are going to come in. Like what you said, I think what I've gotten to realize throughout this whole sharing session is there's so many elements in play that's going to make this happen. There are going to be people who need to look at the batteries. There are going to be people who look at the infrastructure, at the electricity itself. Everyone needs to be playing their role. Everyone needs to be innovating and getting better at what they do, so that this whole ecosystem comes together and makes it happen successfully. So for those of you who are watching, who are in Ascendance, like what Saranjit said, you may be the one who comes up with a better battery. You may be the one who comes up with the way to make infrastructure like way more simpler. You may be the one who can make this happen. So keep, if you are interested in that, experiment and research and find out and actually put it into action, and we would love to see what you guys come up with as well. Sanjit, any last words of encouragement or message to our audiences to
Yeah,
get
I
us
guess
started
for
with this?
all the kids watching in today, please pressure your parents to actually go look into an EV. Okay, I'm just joking. Like, okay.
I like
Don't,
that. I
don't
like
get
that.
don't get Madra into trouble for it. Like, okay, don't get Madra into trouble for it. Okay, but yeah, I think what's really important is for us to actually first, a lot of people like to experience an EV. Okay, now
Yep.
if you're looking into experiencing an EV for the young adults who are tuning in, or even for the slightly more older adults, okay, who are tuning in, there's a couple of platforms actually you can go and try. There's a company called, I'm not here sponsored by them, okay. There's a company called GoCar, okay,
Okay.
GOCAR, where you
Yep.
can actually rent a car for even 1 hour. It means you can rent an electric car for 1 hour. They give you Nissan Leafs. Nissan Leaf is a decent car. Of course, some of them call it Kecemachi, but it's a decent car. Okay. You can even rent it for a day. You can rent it for a month. You can rent it for a week. Okay, let's say if you're
Okay.
talking about a week, you maybe pay about slightly about 1,000 ringgit. If you're talking about a
Yep.
day, you will rent the car about 280 ringgit. Now you can drive the car and you can experience firsthand what is it driving an electric vehicle without having to take the risk of buying a car. Okay,
Yep.
there are also other companies like like Flux, sorry, not Flux, like Flux, who are introducing a very interesting what we call this package of cars. Again, I'm not representing them in any way, but the thinking is that why would you want to buy an electric car and kill yourself with the installment or taking a loan for 5 years? By the end of 5 years, your car probably will be obsolete. So what they
Yep.
do is, rather than getting you to own a car, they allow you to lease a car from them. So you lease the
Okay.
car for 3 years, okay, and after 3 years, you give the car back to them. They probably will give you a new car, or you talk about leasing a new car. So this way, you can always keep up with technology. You don't have to be bogged down with just one car, for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. No, okay, you
Yep.
lease a car, and you actually pay. Of course, leasing is more expensive than purchasing, lah. Okay, but it
Yep.
helps you in the terms of, like, for example, the some of the lease which I have heard about is again Nissan Leaf for 3,000 ringgit, 2,500 ringgit or 3,000 ringgit a month. You don't even have to pay anything for maintenance. As it is, you don't have to pay maintenance for electric vehicle. Even your tires, they change for you. So you
Hmm.
come cukup masa, they go, you just get your tires. You don't have to pay anything because you're paying in the leasing. You don't pay for insurance. You don't pay for road tax. Nothing. All you have, even they give you a charger at home also. They'll come and pasang the charger for you at home. So the charger also you don't need to buy. So
Yeah.
it's to me is something which is very new from the Malaysian market, because we love to buy
Yes.
cars, okay,
Yep.
and we talk about leasing is like no, but it's something to think about, because the day you feel that you want to change your car, then you just give up that lease and go and look for another car. Of course, there are terms and
Yep.
conditions lah, but you're not bogged down by a loan, or your car gets
Yeah.
stolen, or your car cannot bang and stuff like that. And for the rest of the life you sit there and cry, right? Or you get bored lah. Like me, sometimes I get bored driving the same car every day, right? So
Yeah.
that this kind of a business model gives you something new. So kids, if you're around and your parents say that buying an electric car is too expensive, then tell them there's an opportunity for leasing cars. And the cool idea about leasing is every 3 years you can change a car.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely love the whole
Yeah,
new style of basically leasing cars, and I think that will be the future. Something that my
absolutely.
generation would love, and Gen Zs will also love, because let's be honest, we like to change things fast, and at the same time, it is also not something that's going to be bad with regards to your money matters, but and
Yep,
also
yep,
good for the environment, because if they are updating, you will also get to change your vehicles much faster.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. And I've dropped the links in the chat box for those of you who are keen to find out more. So go and click on the links and check it out. I have both Goka and Flux for you guys to just explore, because sometimes just knowing and understanding these things makes a huge difference. And like
Yeah.
what Sanjit said, if your parents are there, just hint it to them a little bit.
Yeah. But don't get us into
Okay.
trouble lah for that.
Yeah, good.
Disclaimer,
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you so much,
All right.
Sanjit. I had a lot of fun.
Welcome.
I think this will help a lot of people with regards to understanding electric vehicles and actually making decisions about them. So thank you so much once again for being on the show.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mantra. Thank you so much. All
All
the
right.
best. Bye.
Bye bye. So that was Money Matters and electric vehicles. I never thought I would actually have a topic on this, but that was so much of fun. So for those of you who watched, share these out with more people, because I think more people need to be aware of this topic. That's one of the reasons most Malaysians are not even entertaining thought of getting an electric vehicle, is because they are not aware. They have options. Things have improved. There is more infrastructure now. It is cheaper. We actually are not aware of all these things. So share this out. That actually makes a difference in somebody else's life, even if they don't get a car today. But maybe they would get it sooner than they would if you did not share. So share out the Money Matters link to your friends and family. And I would, speaking of sharing, I thought of sharing something interesting with all of you as well. Yes, Ascendance has done a huge conference, Global Young Changemakers Conference and Competition, which was a huge success. And thank you for all of you for making it possible. But we have something even more exciting coming up in November. And I feel not just things like electric vehicles, and a lot more other game changing ideas are out there. We have NFTs, we have food tech, we have banking systems, we have leadership, and there's so many unique, different, new ideas in all these fields, including education. And it is important for us to actually constantly update ourselves, constantly upgrade ourselves in these areas. So we are actually kind of going to be part of this event called the Global Game Changers Summit, which is happening on the 19th of November 2022, 10 a.m. ET. So if you guys are Malaysian, it should be about 10 p.m. for you, all the way to the 21st of November, 10 a.m. ET, which is 21st of November, 10 p.m. for Malaysians. So it's a 48-hour conference for 48 hours non-stop. We have speakers from all kinds of fields coming and sharing their experiences, coming and sharing their game changing ideas. So I would like to invite every single one of you to be a part of that event. Join us. Of course, I do not expect you to stay awake for 48 hours. Please don't do that. But if you register, you will get access to the agenda and the whole flow of it. So pick and choose what are the topics that intrigue you, and sign up for those and join us for those sessions. We even have networking sessions. We also have panel sessions where you can ask questions, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I've dropped the link to the summit in the chat box. Please do sign up and join us, because this is going to blow your mind away, not just the event itself, but also each and every single one of the speakers. In fact, I'll be speaking at the summit as well. So looking forward to meeting all of you at the Global Game Changer Summit, and of course next week or week after next week, Money Matters episode. Thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll see you guys the next time.